Hello, everybody. My name is Nadine Rosenstill. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Today, I'm going to show you how to quote and collector cars for America Modern. So the one big thing is, how do I even get to America Modern system, ModernLink? The one reason why we're sharing this information with ModernLink is such a good tool. You're able to quote in-house. For most lines of business, you can bind online very easily, so the convenience of your office. And we do realize that sometimes, on the weekends, if you have a client that needs coverage, if it's not the standard business hours, it's there for you, if we're not here for you. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So how you get on, one of the ways that you can get on is by going to www.toscano.com. If you go to the toolbox area, you'll see all of our portals for personal lines. So we have America Modern, RLI, and Aegis, and you just hit the login button. You're very fortunate as an agent because you have something called single sign-on. So if you're logged into Toscano.com, you can easily pass through without having to create another login. If this is something that's not working for you, please let me know. It should, once you get your America Modern password or username, it should work within like 48 hours. They do have like a system update, that type of thing. So it should be working with you. I do realize also that some people just save it in their favorites. That's fine also. Couple things to keep in mind with American Modern. With the collector car program, it's the one line that neither your office or our office has binding authority. So what that means is you quote the risk, which I'm going to show you how to do, attach photos, and the home office actually approves it. They go through it to make sure that the risk is acceptable. The majority of the risks are acceptable, but please keep in mind, because a risk is not driven that often does not mean that it's a collector car or high valued. For instance, a 1975 Cavalier more than likely is not going to be accepted, unless possibly it's like a special edition, or he is using it in shows, like he or she did a fantastic paint job, that type of thing. One thing early on with this program that I got caught on was a Maserati. I did not know that Maseratis come in 4-door. That was not acceptable. My underwriter kind of laughed because he said, this is an average car that people go get groceries in. I think a $200,000 car to go get groceries in is a little ridiculous, but those are their guidelines, that it's not looking for a vehicle that is driven daily. It is the owners of collector cars, and if any of you are a collector car person, you treat them very well. You treat them like they're your children, sometimes better than your children. So that's what they're looking for. If you have any questions, my email address is nadine@toscano.com, NADINE@toscano.com, or there's a chat feature. Just send me a chat. Honestly, though, I'll try to. I will pay attention, and I'm very informal, so send a chat. But if I don't pick it up right away, I do apologize. That's why I'm just not paying that much attention to the chat box. But again, if you have questions afterwards or a week from now, I understand that. Either give me a call, or again, my email is nadine@toscano.com. So one of the things ModernLink offers is e-forms. So if you click on the link, you will see you can search by state, product, and form type and form number. So if we click on the product and you go to collector car and you do find, and these are all the states that we're able to write business in. Keep in mind with the states, we're licensed in these states, but your office also has to be licensed in that state. So if you are a Delaware agent and have a South Carolina location, you have to be licensed in South Carolina. Sometimes there's some misunderstanding because we're licensed in a state. You don't have to be licensed in a state, but we do require that the retail agent also be licensed in that state. So we're going just for today, for example, we're going to do Pennsylvania, and these are all of the endorsements. So if you ever have a question on endorsement, all the endorsements are here that are on the policy. Also, is the program manuals. So these are all of the program manuals for this particular line of business. And it says program in it. It's very easily marked. And these are all the guidelines. Now, one of the things that are with America Modern is, with this program, is you have to have a regular use vehicle for every driver in the household and for every collector unit. So what they're looking for is, I 100% understand if you have a husband and a wife who are elderly, more than likely they're only going to have one unit, one regular use unit. But if you have a husband and wife and two children and two licensed to drive children, they are going to require that you have 4 cars, regular use cars, because again, they do not want that collector unit to be driven to work, to school, things like that. Again, the product is for special use vehicles. You're not driving it to work every day. But they do understand that if you have a fancy car and you want to show it off sometimes, they do have something called a 9-to-5 endorsement. So for an extra surcharge, you're allowed to drive that car to work 3 to 4 days a week. 3 to 4 days per week to work, only to work. But you have to have that endorsement on. We had a risk that unfortunately got denied coverage because he was driving it. His normal car was in an accident, so he just thought he could drive his Corvette around every day, and that's not what the policy's for. We also had a circumstance where somebody was taking their Maserati across the country. They were moving. They wanted to drive their Maserati across the country. We were not able to do that. Again, it's not for a regular, something that you would do every day in, that type of thing. The mileage, which leads me to the mileage plans. They have mileage plans of 1,000, 3,000, or 6,000 miles a year. And what's nice about the American Modern product is those mileage actually roll over. So if you you have a collector car and it's a really rainy season and your mileage plan is 3,000, that's normally the mileage. The average policy normally takes 3,000 mile plan. And you only use 1,000 of those miles. Those extra miles roll over to the next year, and then if it's the following season is you're able to drive it more, you have those extra miles. You're able to take it to car shows. You're able to take it to parades. One of the things also that they're able to do is if you are going to a car show or a convention and you have to park the car at a motel, and there is coverage for that, that there's if there's any damage to that unit while at the overnight stay, there is coverage for that. Another coverage that is pretty popular is pets, because of the type of, you're going to car shows and you also, probably the second in line is your pet. It's your dog or your cat or whatever. So there is coverage. It is up to $750, and medical expenses is paid for a pet injured while in the vehicle. So they know that that's part of your family too, is the pet, so which is nice. So alrighty, so let's get started. Go back to the home. And now when you log in, this information is already going to be there. Your sub-producer number. If you ever forget any of that, please give us a call. It's asking for your rating zip. Today we're just going to use Greensburg where we are. And we're going to pick collector car. Number of units. they do, if you have a large collection, that is something that we can do. I do believe that we can quote in-house up to 50 vehicles. Over 50 vehicles, then we have to get the company to quote it for us, but they do have a large collection. You're able to do that with them. Basically, they want you to read this to your applicant, and it's just basically saying that they're doing your claims history and loss experience. For quoting, they do not run MVRs for quoting, only because the price involved. That I can't remember how much, maybe $5 to $7 MVRs are. So for quoting, they do not allow for MVRs being ran. Okay, so we're going to hit next. And basically, it's just asking for the insured's name. And the address. Now we are able to write the insured's name in the name of a corporation. For instance, Toscano Agency, but it has to be used for personal use. So if Rob Toscano had, in fact, he did have this vintage VW Bug, that's something that we can do, but it has to be used for personal. It cannot be used as the business, but for personal use, that's fine. Let's see, Greensburg, PA 15601. Asking for date of birth. Okay. It's asking, because I've used this name several times, so it's asking if I want to use an existing client's information. I'm going to say yes. Now, the one thing that you have to do is quoting, they want you to list all of the operators in the household. So if the person's married, you have to list the wife, any children. Later on, I'll show you how to assign those, the operators, but everybody in the household has to be listed. You are able to exclude people or have them as non-operators. That's fine, but everybody has to be listed. And we don't need Social Security number for quoting. As of yet, it is not credit scored, this program. I don't think so. So, so you can still get a rate without the Social Security number. The things with the asterisks are what you need just for quoting purposes. These are the members of the different car groups or collector car groups. If you have an insured or a group of insureds that are in a collector group in your area, please let me know and we can see about adding them into this for a discount. If there's a certain amount of them, this is what this AMIG approved club association is. If you have a client and you're going to have, say, 15 members, I can go back to American Modern and say, hey, there's this retail agent going to be able to have 15 policies with you. Can we give them a discount with this approved, the AMIG approved club association? So please let me know if you have a situation like that. Any accidents, drivers prevention courses, we're going to say no. Okay, let's see here. Now this is where I would add another operator. So we're going to say, put me in here quickly. Mailing address and okay, and next. And if you have other ones, you just keep hitting add another. If you need to remove it, you just hit the select and remove. So we're going to get next. Oh, marital status. I'm so sorry. We're going to say married and I'm a female. Okay. Okay. So next. Oh, accidents. Sorry about that. Okay. These are the type of units that we're able to quote on a collector car program. Kit car, motorcycle, non-registered. Non-registered could be something like a fire truck. We do the fire trucks. Non-registered can also be, special interest is also a fire truck. Special interest in non-registered are vehicles that are retired from their original purposes, so typically used for shows or parades. Non-registered, we also had a situation of a truck that was only on the front lawn of a business. It was a very old truck that was non-registered. They just used it. We have motorcycles here that they're just used for display. That type of situation. We also can do race vehicles, but we cannot do them while they are racing. It's basically while they're being trailered or on the when they're waiting to race. So we're not doing any liability. It's just comp and collision for the race cars, but there is coverage. And we can also do, the one thing to keep in mind is we get a lot of questions on this one, is an Eldorado is actually a truck. So if you ever come into play with an Eldorado, they consider that a truck. So sometimes somebody can't find that type of vehicle when they're searching for it, they're doing it under a car. So the majority of the risk are autos, but they do special interest like exotics, 400 horsepower, that type of thing. Again, like race vehicles, but they cannot be racing. So we're just going to say an auto. And what's really cool about America, you do not need the vehicle ID for quoting, but what is very cool about this system is it knows what type of make and model are only within that year. So we're going to say we have a 1954 Chevy. So these are all the models that are in 1954. And that's sometimes comes into play when people, they just don't know. They think they're buying a certain year and they're not. We do a lot of Google searches to see, or they think it's one type of dealer and it really isn't. So we're just going to say that it's a Chevy. And these are all the models in 1954 by Chevy. So if you're looking, for another type of unit, you can pick all other, but that's going to be something that's submitted to us, and we're going to ask questions of what the make and model. Honestly, if it's not in here, you might want to, go back to the insurer and say, are you sure that it's, a Chevy Malibu or, whatnot. They're pretty good at, I'm not saying that they can be wrong, but, the system's pretty smart with what years are in that, what makes and models are within that year. So we're going to say it's a Corvette. And again, the model number, it knows that in 1954, there's a Corvette and it's probably a two-door convertible. Again, you can do the all other, but we would need an explanation as to exactly what that make and model is. Here's your mileage plans. They do have an unlimited plan. We're going to say 3,000 unit. Anytime this has a, let me try to hover over. So anytime the asterisk, it means that there's, it's mandatory, but it also, you can click on it like I just did, and then it's asking you what exactly, what's unit modification, and it basically tells you the definition, and it's a list of 10 modifications that they're asking for, like roll cages, wheelie bars, paint body, custom, that type of thing. We see that sometimes in stock cars, things like that. Non-factory installed, power added, this is just a basic Chevy. We're going to just make up a price of, we're going to put in, let's put in $40,000. It does go by NADA, Any passive restraints, more than likely, because this is a 1954, there's not going to be any. It's asking you if the unit is the current unit under restoration and less than 80% complete. We are able to do that if it's under restoration. What they're going to want is an approximate date, what they think it's going, how long it's going to take. Is the registration address the same as the policy mailing? Is the garage address the same as the policyholder mailing? One thing with garaging that's really important, that it has to be in a locked facility. We cannot, in the state of PA, we cannot have, and for many of the states, we cannot have a collector car that is out on the street, that is in a carport, again, because they want you to protect that unit, that they feel that it needs to be in a secured garage. It can be in a garage that's out of, not on the same location. If you have, a garage somewhere else, we just need that, an alternate location address, that is fine, but it has to be in a locked garage. That's one thing early on when we got into the program that we realized that we had to decline some risks because they weren't in locked garage. And again, it's just that thinking that that's your baby, like, you're keeping that under lock and key. You don't want anything to happen to it. I think Florida might allow for carports, but we're unable to write in the state of Florida for collector cars. I think that's really the only maybe situation that we can write using a carport. How is the unit stored when not in use? And we're going to say a locked garage. Any anti-theft, you will receive a discount if you have any of these. Now this is where it's asking you for the usage. So we're going to say it's just occasional pleasure use, but you can't pick shows and parades. Here it cannot be, just because you're clicking them, it's more than likely going to then air you out and disqualify you if you're using it as backup transportation. Let's see here. Occasional commuting to work. Max, and I apologize, I thought you had 3 times, but you can only go 2 times per week for that 9 to 5 endorsement. So it's 2 times per week, and it is a surcharge for the occasionally commuting to work. What security measures are in place at the storage facility? If it has any type of central burglar alarm. What's the type of construction? You pick, any of these or none of the above. Now here's where the operator usage is. So we're going to say that Dominic is the principal driver and I'm only an occasional driver. Again, you can't say a non-operator or excluded driver. Like if this is a situation that it has a stick, I don't know how to drive a stick, I would be a non-operator. If it's a situation of a younger teen or younger person or somebody in your household that you absolutely do not ever want to drive that car, you can put the excluded driver. You will need signatures on those endorsements. So we're going to say occasional driver. And this is also where you would add another unit if you need to. So this is asking for the regular use auto limit. You do not have to write the regular use auto. You just need to know, what the limits are. The insured needs to know what they are. So we are, I apologize here, a little. Okay. So we're just going to say it's 100, 300. These are the limits. 100 limit, 100, 300 for the uninsured. It's asking you for their tort options for limited. And then here is the coverages for the collector vehicle. The collector vehicle limits cannot exceed that of the regular use auto. So if they have 100, 300 regular use auto limits, they can only have 100, 300 on. They can go below, but they can't have more. They can't go to the million. So we're going to say 100, 300. We're going to say it's 100 or 50 for the property damage. We're going to say the UM, UIM, same thing with the UM, it has to match or less than the regular use auto. First party benefits, if they so choose. We're just going to put in, and these are your normal limits that you probably see every day, you know, in the auto, doing an auto, and work loss. And so other than collision and comp and collision. So you have to have full coverage for this, with the exception of race cars. It's no liability coverage, but we cannot write a liability only policy. We're sorry about that, but they want the full coverage. You can have agreed value or stated amount. On this example, we're going to have the stated amount with a 0 deductible. Spare parts coverage, collector's coverage extension, and full safety class. We're not going to add anything, and we just hit quote now. And here is your premium. Now we have an error of, you entered a value that is outside our basic range of $115,000 and $140,000. Who knew that this 1954 Corvette is worth that amount of money? So you could do one or two things. Again, it goes on NADA. So when you submit it for, if you know that that's how much it is worth because of, you know, whatever reason, just put a memo here and let us know. But more than likely, because you want to have your insured insure to the fullest value, you're just going to go back to units and change the limit to 115. Now, sometimes insureds don't know what the risk is worth, that the unit is worth. We can do some Google search for you. That's not a problem. The insured can go on the NADA. That's fine too. There's certain circumstances, sometimes the insured pays more than what the NADA value is worth. We are able to go back to America Modern with that sale price, and we can show them, and with viewing the photos, they will, you know, normally agree, okay, I can see where he paid more money for this because it's limited edition, you know, whatnot. But excuse me, there have been times that, you know, they have to apologize, saying, I'm sorry, it's just not worth that. We're not finding it. You know, we have to insure it for this. The underwriters at America Modern are incredible. They are very easy to work with. I was very impressed visiting them. They actually, you know, they're all gearheads. They know what's going on. They actually took, you know, a car apart and put it back together again. That's how experienced they are. The claims department in America Modern, if you ever are on YouTube, they have something called the Build, and it was a wrecked vehicle that they completely restored and named it Amy G, AMIG for America Modern, and it is just incredible. So you're ever on YouTube, it's called the Build. It's American Modern, little segue, little story, and they have different, you know, they go through the life of building this vehicle, and it's an absolutely beautiful vehicle. And I got to meet the people that, again, on the claims department that did that. And it's, you know, there's something about when your claims department and your underwriters that they have built a vehicle and they know about the product. They're just not reading about it. I think that really says about, you know, their experience. So sorry, I like totally digress. But so we just hit quote now. We changed that limit. And here's the quote. So on the right-hand side is the print forms. And here is where you would print your application, your quote sheet, everything that you need for the insured to sign. So let's say, and that's your quote. So it's easy peasy, you know, pretty quick. So the insured's in your office and they want the quote. They think it's, you know, that that's exactly what we are going for. I like the premium. Let's get this bound. So we would have to hit, we're going to attach the photos. So something that these are the requirements for binding. They need photos of color photos of all of the units, all of the sides of the unit, and they need a copy of the regular use auto decks. you would attach that all here. And it's a simple upload attachment, exactly what you do, you know, for a lot of your programs. If you are not comfortable with doing that, or you don't, you forget how to do that, please send that information over to us, and we would be happy to upload it for you and send it on its way. So once you do that, I apologize, I don't have any files to upload. You hit submit and you enter in your email, and it goes off to underwriting at American Modern, and they review it, and it will come back to you in an email. It takes about 24 hours. Now, yesterday they weren't there, so keep that in mind. They do, you know, the regular like banking holidays, a lot of time they're not there. So if it's a situation like that, it might take a little bit longer, but normally it's within 24 hours, and they send you a approval back, and you go back in, it's approved, you apply the payment, and you get your ID card. So a couple things to keep in mind, just to recap, that we don't have binding authority on this product. So if somebody's waiting at the dealership, you know, we will do everything that we can to speed up that process, but more than likely it's going to take at least 24 hours to get approval on a product. They do actually look at every single risk. They look at the photos. So you have to attach the photos in order to bind a risk. And that's the same with us. If we quote it and bind it, we have to submit the photos for them to approve. Once approved, you'll get an email, and you go back in, you apply the payment. This is a product that you cannot build it down. You cannot build a lien holder. The insured needs to pay at binding. So they will take a check or a credit card. The check will be EFT'd, and they do it electronically. So it's easy peasy. They don't have to, you can hand a check back. So those are the couple things that are really unique about the product, is that there's no binding authority for you or I. Company looks at everyone, and they do need the payment at binding. So that's about it. So again, if you have any questions, please let us know. If you have a risk, if you just don't know, please call us, give us a call. My email address again is nadine@toscano.com. That's probably the easiest thing. If you have pictures, so many times I just send them off to my underwriter, and I say, hey, you know, what do you think about this one? Do you think it's you know, a collector car worthy? You know, that type of thing. And he'll come back to me and is like, yeah, there's only 20 in production of this. Absolutely, this is what the collector car program, or no. You know, if it's a situation that it's a 1990, you know, Ford Escort, more than likely it's going to get passed up. So thank you so much. That's about it. And please, if you have any questions or hang-ups in the system, let me know. And you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.